We have so many statistics on our website of clients who came to us like with just terrible test scores, just terrible. Like, and they knew they were terrible and still got into top 3 schools, M7 schools.
Pocket.
$2,000?
Absolutely.
Why did you quit? Why aren't you still selling watermelon?
I went skydiving once, and my first parachute failed.
Hello and welcome back to MBA Monday. Who's this? Something weird is happening on the set of MBA Monday. There's a second person here.
It's very strange.
The one and only
Brian Birdwell.
the GMAT guru, the GRE guru, the Senior Career Protocol coach, all around wizard on the MBA application process. He cruised by CPHQ this week, and we thought we'd just sit down and figure out 9 random things about Brian, because we're here together and we love hanging out. We love talking about all things MBA.
And randomness.
And randomness. What do you think, Brian? Where should we start today?
Let's start with my first job.
You're going to love this. Brian, what was your first job?
It's a tie for 2. Cheating answer. My very first job was putting stickers on grocery store items once a week. I did it for an hour, and I got paid a soda and a candy bar. And it was at the little grocery store in the country town near where I lived. I was 7 years old, so a soda and a candy bar was pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Little known fact, Brian and I grew up in the same state. Can you guess which state that might be? Scroll down and leave us a comment, and if you get it right, we'll tell you the answer. Question number 2, Brian. Oh, was there a second answer to that question?
Well, the second answer, that was so part-time, 1 hour a week.
Right.
My first real full-time job, I got the next year when I was 8 years old, and that was selling watermelons on the side of the road.
And tell us about the best day you had selling watermelons. What was your income that day?
The best day we had selling watermelons, it was always a summer gig, of course, was probably around $2,000 of watermelons in a day. And it makes for a very thick wallet in an 8-year-old's pocket.
$2,000?
Absolutely.
Why did you quit? Why aren't you still selling watermelons?
It wasn't my money. I got paid a wage.
Right. You would have had to become a watermelon farmer and do the whole thing, and
and probably lose money in the end.
Indeed. So, second question for you. Have you ever had a client tell a really interesting story about a childhood entrepreneurial endeavor in their essays? I definitely have. But you tell me.
Yeah. I don't know that it was the most interesting, but it was endearing. It was a lemonade stand story.
Yeah.
As being the origin of the entrepreneurial urge.
Yeah, exactly. So Brian and I both coach applicants towards their MBA dreams. Brian is extremely knowledgeable in this process, just like I am. He's just not always here in HQ to make these videos for you. But one of the things I think we love the most about this job is finding those little gems in people's stories so that when they write their essays, they're showcasing something truly unique and interesting about them. Like, even if it seems insignificant that you had a lemonade stand when you were 8 years old, believe us, it's not common. Whatever you did in like the first 20 years of life, that was where your uniqueness was already really showing. So that's a little tip for your essay brainstorming, is to don't neglect those crazy small details. Brian is known for having had just like almost every possible job under the sun. Why don't you tell us 3 more things that you did, either that were random or fun, or that prepared you for your job as a tutor and a coach with Career Protocol?
Sure, yeah. Make your 3 guesses here. Pause the video and make 3 guesses.
You're never going to guess.
What the next 3 jobs I'm going to list are. Well, one was acupuncturist. I went to acupuncture school and became an acupuncturist. I think that prepared me for this job in a unique way, because a big part of our approach to acupuncture was listening, and really listening to what people had to say about their condition, about their state. So it was great listening training. Number 2, if you know what sod is, I was a landscaper. I would move big rocks around yards and lay grass. And sod is like the big squares of grass when somebody gets a new lawn. That prepared me for this job because I understand the value of sweat labor. I I think, and sometimes I've had a couple of clients who had what we might call this kind of labor, blue collar maybe experience, and oftentimes they thought it was something they should downplay. And it's really not necessarily something you need to amplify either, but there are valuable experiences and valuable lessons you can
It builds
learn.
character, right? I mean, anytime you are struggling, even if it's like, I gotta lift stuff every day, how you got through that, how you made it meaningful to you, how you survived that period and made it to the next thing that was on that ladder that you were climbing. That's all interesting stuff. It's like, and it's so much more interesting than what people tend to write about in their essays, because when you're trying to look good versus trying to just show your authentic journey, it's just not interesting. It's like nobody wants to read what you think they want to hear. They want to know your honest truth.
Absolutely. And they don't want to learn the lessons that you think you extracted from that in
Right.
hindsight either. And that taught me perseverance and the value of this
Yes.
and that. They really just want you to tell the story and how it affected you.
Yeah.
It's much more endearing.
So third job, software engineer.
Software
Does that
engineer?
register? Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty random. We
So-
can go with that.
Yeah. Do you like working with people with tech backgrounds when you are coaching them?
I do enjoy that. I
greatness?
think it's one of the particular challenges, the particular kind of client who has a very technical background, and what they do can be hard to communicate to non-technical people. I'm not the most technical person in the universe, but having worked in that technical world, I feel it helps me bridge communicating with non-technical people and extracting the value out of it. Earthquakes here in CPHQ.
The chair is out to get me. Little known fact, everybody. You're seeing some of the behind the scenes here. This chair is my nemesis. I sit in this chair every time I make a video, and every once in a while it does what you just saw. So,
it's gotta
all right,
keep it interesting.
Keep it interesting.
That's three pretty random.
I think so.
There are others.
There are many others, but that's a random assortment. So, Brian and I have known each other for, is it 14 years, 15 years?
14, close, yeah.
Yeah, so we met when we were both just young, scrappy GMAT teachers at Manhattan Prep, way in the early days, like before it got acquired by Kaplan, before MBA admissions consulting was even a thing. Brian and I were working in the Manhattan Prep mines, teaching people like you to achieve their potential on the GMAT. And Brian has also been teaching the GRE for that long. I taught the LSAT, didn't ever get into the GRE myself. But one of the amazing things that Brian does for all of our career protocol students, if you decide to join our community or work one-on-one with a coach, is he provides study guidance. So if you haven't already seen his videos on our channel talking about test prep, talking about how to maximize your potential, talking about how to study like a smart person rather than a sheep, he has just so much wisdom, because I quit teaching the test after about 8 years, but Brian continued. So you've got 20 years of experience teaching. So 40 years if we combine GMAT, GRE. It's like 20 years of experience teaching both of these tests. And he provides guidance for all of our students on really achieving their personal best. He's like your wizard on command. Like, you can show up to office hours and ask Brian questions about how to move the needle on your personal test prep process. So my fourth question for you,
Yes.
I'm not good at counting when there's two people in the room, is what do you enjoy? What do you like the most about teaching those tests?
First of all, test prep genie in a bottle is going to be the next
Genie in a bottle,
the next
that's
random
it.
job.
That's it. Test prep genie in a bottle.
What do I enjoy most? I think it's a great question, because the test, as you know, is not the most exciting material in the universe. I started teaching the SAT when I was in college, and then I moved to the GMAT, the GRE, and the LSAT so that I could work with people who were my own age at the time, before I out-aged the average GMAT student considerably. And what has been interesting in that period of time has not been the test material or the predictable mistakes that everyone makes, but what has been enjoyable, I think, is just seeing a few light bulbs and relieving some of the suffering that goes into this process, because it's a terrible process for a lot of people.
Not for everyone, but for some people it really is. Yeah.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't for you.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, this is like the worst thing. It's really terrible. It's a source of shame and embarrassment to have this number that sort of quantifies you.
Right.
And I think just lifting that burden for people when it's possible, It's not always possible, but when we can,
Yeah.
that's probably the most enjoyable part. It's just seeing the clouds lift.
Definitely.
And a renewed sense of optimism engage in the whole process.
Yeah. Yeah. So we won't talk anymore about those tests. There's plenty more videos you can check out on our channel. We're big fans of just helping you make it simple and confined so that you can move on to the stuff that really moves the needle. And this is like two people who have dedicated our whole careers to helping people to get into business school through the tests and then through the admissions coaching, through the application itself. And I think we can both say, like, unequivocally, the significantly more important part of that process is the application. That is what is ultimately going to determine the outcome, much more so than the test. Not meaning that you can ignore the test. You have to have as good a score as you can get, but that is just table stakes. And the real, like, you really make hay, you really make rain in your application through the rest of it. And so Brian has been coaching applicants on MBA applications now for, is it 5 years, 4 years, 5 years? And I think we both made that transition from test prep to MBA coaching with a little bit of the same mentality, which is like, the test is important, but it's so limited in how it affects the life of the student. It's like, you've got to take that test, you've got to pass that bar. But once you move on from the GMAT or the GRE, those are not skills you're going to use later. The skills you are going to use are the how to learn and how to study skills, which is what Brian has become really an expert in teaching. And again, check out some of the other videos on our channel to that effect. But I think we both love coaching MBA applicants so much because the skills that they develop when they work with us on telling their story, on preparing for interviews, on writing a resume are so durable. Like, they follow for the rest of their career. And as people who are sort of like natural oriented teachers and people want to help people, I'm speaking for you. I'm going to let you talk in a minute. I for sure find it way more fulfilling to help my clients and to help all of the students in the Career Protocol community up level their executive communication skills, because we know that that's going to change their life, not just in the MBA, but entirely and beyond. So tell us 3 things from your life as an MBA coach. Like, what do you love the most? What have been some endearing moments? What's a great client memory that you have? Just give us some insight into your world as an MBA coach.
Oh, it's so hard to boil it down.
I know. Start with one, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah. Well, so first I'll say, you've got to put the test down at some point. And that's limited value, both for the client, for the rest of their life, and in the applications process. We've seen crazy things happen. With low scores that you would never believe. So you've just got to put it down and move on with a certain point. A lot of people make the mistake of letting the test linger and linger and linger and linger and linger and linger. And they don't give attention to learning to communicate who they are and what they want, which is so much more important in the process.
So much more important, so much more valuable, so much more decisive the outcome. We have so many statistics on our website of clients who came to us like with just terrible test scores, just terrible. Like, and they knew they were terrible and still got into top 3 schools, M7 schools, because it's everything else that moves the needle. So what's your like favorite part of the job apart from what I just,
Well,
said?
I think it's that like this job involves learning about all the little things, the childhood jobs that people have had, and building relationships and getting to really learn what makes people tick and what they're proud of and what they've done and what they're interested in ways that if we were just exclusively talking about the test all the time, we would never get to do that.
Yeah.
And so really just being able to deepen those relationships with people has been the most enjoyable part to me.
Love that.
And to learn about how awesome people are. The discovery process is what I enjoy most, really.
Got it.
Like, I love it when people get into schools. I love it when they get big scholarships. That's really satisfying and great. We pop the champagne. But the most enjoyable part for me is this discovery process where our clients tell us all about their lives, highs and lows, influential people and events in their lives. And I really feel like it's such, I feel like before every cocktail hour and networking event, I want other people there to do this.
Yes.
Like, I want to know them in this way before we start talking, so we can cut through the small talk and talking about our functions and our roles and our various jobs and get to what's meaningful to us and what's moved us and what's important to us. And I really enjoy that aspect of the process.
It's incredibly life affirming, right?
Yeah.
I'd say we have one of the best jobs in the world because every day our faith in humanity is renewed.
Absolutely.
As we get to know our clients and like just all the little details of their lives and what they're all about and what they're out to achieve. It's so uplifting. If you're interested in learning more about our discovery process, we actually have a video about it. I'll link it up there. If your curiosity's piqued, if you think, oh, I want to know more about this, I want to talk to Brian, I want to like get deeper into this career protocol thing, then click this link that I'm leaving down in the description, mbaprotocol.com/join, and that'll put you into one of our free MBA orientation courses, and then you can talk to us about, if you want to continue your journey with us. 2 more things that you love about this job, or stories or memories, or
I love the success stories, honestly, and I love the clarity that people gain through it. Oftentimes, some people come to us and they know exactly what they want to do. They're on a proven career path, and they just need to get the MBA as the next step in that, and that's great. And then we have people who don't really know what the next step is. And I love watching their evolution as they do their research and they get clarity and they try to articulate what matters to them and where they want to go, and seeing people choose some really interesting career paths and feel good about it and feel excited about it. Watching that journey from confusion to excitement and clarity and optimism is really satisfying to see.
Totally. We don't talk about this a lot, but Brian and I both have pretty extensive spiritual practices in our personal lives, like meditation and various kinds of exploration into the realm of possibility and like beyond the self, and that aspect of our process that really puts people in touch with like their true self, like who they really are, what their infinite potential is all about, and seeing then the empowering choices that follow is one of the, we don't talk about this a lot, but it's really one of the most magical things about the way Career Protocol and everything that we do works, because you're harnessing powers greater than yourself when you get a certain degree of clarity about who you are and the direction you want to go. So I would echo that aspect of this job. It's so inspiring to see people just line up with who they are and
Absolutely.
who they want to be.
And we don't get to talk about this in this particular context very often, but it's happening whether we talk about it or not.
Right. Whether we're practicing or not, this is happening. So it's useful to understand it and to marshal those energies.
Absolutely.
So third thing,
well, I mean, okay, just the success. That's always fun. When clients, when they have reached a happy outcome, whether that's getting into the school of their dreams, discovering the school of their dreams, that's always a really satisfying moment when somebody, a school that they were thinking was sort of a safety school or a match school and not the epic school of their dreams, but then they go visit and they have an interview experience that they really enjoy, and they sort of court the school through the process. And it's really interesting to see somebody open up to a new idea and become really excited about this new place that is their new dream school, because it really fits who they are and what they want, as opposed to just topping the rankings, for example. Those are great too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. No, it's great to have the rankings wins, but it's even more satisfying to have the that's a perfect fit.
I really
that's
feel
the Cinderella like school for you. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool, Cinderella slipper. So let's see. Do you have a favorite program application? Is there a favorite school that you like to work on?
Absolutely. I like booths.
Yeah.
I like booth,
especially this year.
Yeah, especially this year with the contrast in the other schools.
Harvard, maybe last year we could have said Harvard, but this year I'm with you.
Yeah.
Booth.
Booth is the last one standing. With 2 unlimited length essays, they are going to give you the opportunity to really tell your story. And some of the other applications are better suited to some stories than others.
Yeah.
Whereas Booths is a blank slate, it's a blank canvas.
Anyone can crush those essays.
If
they bring the right awareness and the right intention, anyone can really shine in those essays.
They're more work.
They're more work for us.
Unlimited word length is not easy to manage, but they're my favorite. I love the stories that we get to tell with Booth.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have really like that clean slate and it's this entirely collaborative process where the student is like trying things and you're revising, and there's this like creative back and forth that allows you to let the story unfold in the way that it wants to, so that it really achieves this sort of almost magical state at the end, where when the student reads it, they're like really inspired. And when we read it as coaches, and we do this, like we workshop essays together. So like I'm reading Brian's clients' essays. Brian's reading my clients' essays. We get to see them all. And then, like, as coaches, we're getting goosebumps when we read the essay. That's like a magical thing. And it's much easier to get to that when the school gives you that creative liberty, which Booth does better than any other school.
It's like an extension of the discovery process.
Totally.
And, we get to go through iterations and variations where that's not the story, that's not the story.
Yep.
And it's not only satisfying and magical for all the reasons you just described, it's useful for the other applications downstream.
100%.
When you get to an application that's more scripted or the question is more constrained, having done this work with Booth gives you some unique angles and perspectives for those more cliche kind of questions that other schools will ask.
And it also really helps the student find their voice, because if you can, so I worked at, I don't talk about this a lot, but I worked at BCG. And when I had an offer from both BCG and McKinsey. And when I was trying to choose among them, it took me a very long time to even understand the difference between these firms. But it was one last conversation I had with someone at McKinsey, actually, who told me that the difference between the two firms is that BCG starts with a clean slate. And it's just like, as the consultant, as the fresh minted MBA grad, you've got to find your own way to the answer. That's what they're counting on you for. Whereas at McKinsey, they've already done it before. There is a right answer. So you just kind of got to find your way in the network to bring in the resource or the individual that's going to be able to be applied to this client situation to get to the best outcome. So the question is, do you want to be evaluated based on your ability to find the answer on your own? Or do you want to be evaluated on your ability to leverage a network and find an answer? And this just like blew my mind. I was like, I know the answer. It's really clear. Like, I want to find my own way to the answer. Like, that's the fun part. That's the whole juice of life. And so Career Protocol is founded on this same idea of like there's no right answer. There's no right answer for Harvard. There's no right answer for Booth. You can't leverage the network to find the thing that's going to plug and play your story. You have to encounter the blank page by yourself, and you've got to find your way to that answer. And as coaches, we get to help guide you through that process. We get to expand that space because you can see yourself much more clearly when there's someone else like also reflecting you back to yourself. And that's the only way to do this right, I think, not just because it leads to a better outcome. It's way more fun and interesting, but it also builds confidence in you. Like, that's how you're going to build your own credibility with yourself, to be able to stand in the boardroom and talk about who you are with confidence, even when everyone else has 20 more years experience than you do, which is the position you are going to be in post MBA, no matter what career you go into. So yeah, very cool. How many unicorns do you have in your house?
Several. I don't know if they're off the top of my head.
How many unicorns are in this room right here? Hard to know the answer.
Yeah, at least a dozen. I have two daughters. I have two young daughters who love unicorns more than I do. And so there are many unicorns.
Hundreds, if we include everyone on the pajamas and.
Oh, absolutely, hundreds.
Hundreds,
everyone on
hundreds
the
and hundreds
pajamas.
of unicorns.
Hundreds and hundreds of unicorns.
Okay.
Not enough.
But still not enough. I don't know. Give us one more random tidbit that you want people to know about you as an MBA coach and a GMAT GRE guide.
One more random tidbit that I want people to know about myself as an MBA coach or guide. Ooh, that's so hard. That's so challenging.
We like to ask hard questions around here.
It's a very hard question. I had a client the other day. We were talking, and they asked me about Vipassana meditation, which is something that I've never had a client ask me about this. It's in my bio. It was an important part of my life for a really long time. And I had a client who also had done a Vipassana meditation course, and it had become a big part of his life. And he's the only person that had ever asked me about it. And the conversation that we had about that in our lives and what we shared was really interesting. And I think it was different from the sort of typical, do you use a mindfulness app to manage your stress, or have you encountered mindfulness? All valuable stuff.
All questions that he has answers to as well.
That's more common. Doing a Vipassana course is not common because it's 10 days of silence. And anyway, so that's an interesting thing that I think maybe the generalized point from that, not just the Vipassana thing, is that I've done a lot of really random small experiences. And here's one. I had another client who was skydiving. They talked about skydiving in the frame of skydiving being an important way for them to try new things and be adventurous. And I've heard this before. This is skydiving is kind of a thing that people will do to face fears or try new crazy things. I went skydiving once, and my first parachute failed, and it didn't work. And I had to spend an extra sort of 10 seconds in free fall to deploy the second parachute, which is the backup parachute that did work.
Holy sorry. I didn't know this story.
So I did it once, but I got 2 for 1.
Yeah, 2 for 1, I would say. You got the whole experience. You got the whole, because people do skydiving because they want to confront mortality, fear, barriers, boundaries, and you just went all the way there, man.
Got the extra.
Wow, that's impressive. I was considering skydiving, and now I'm not so sure I'm gonna give it a try.
Don't tell everyone that story for that reason. Don't want to discourage you from doing it.
Yeah, please, by all means, find your own way. We are not accredited. Do not consider this advice. Please do all of your research. Okay, amazing. There was some golden tidbits in that answer there. I just want to pull out the idea of meditation and mindfulness and stress relief. This is one of the things I think you're just top notch at. Frankly, as a coach, Brian is better than I am, I think, than anyone on the team at keeping the anxiety level to a minimum with his clients, because you have such a diverse set of tools that you can really help people just find the thing that helps them control, like manage their own emotions, manage their own inner states, which is a very important life skill. I mean, I can't think of a more important life skill, really, than being able to manage your inner states.
In a high stakes situation.
In a high stakes situation, especially for those of you watching this video, you who are MBA leadership bound, managing your inner states is literally life skill number 1 that you are going to use every single day of your life. And we could make like 6 or 7 videos just on that topic. But I'm going to close with this request. Leave us a comment and let us know what else you'd like us to talk about on this channel. And in particular, if you'd like Brian to share his wisdom on any specific topics, or if you'd like us together to tell you some stories or to talk about what could be useful to you on your MBA journey, leave us a comment and let us know. And if we can do it, the next time Brian passes through HQ, we'll record it. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button. Come back to MBA Monday. We're here almost every week. And again, if you want to join our community, it's mbaprotocol.com/join. And all kinds of good stuff happens when you go to that page and join with your email. So hope to see you in there. I'll see you here in the next, I don't know, probably next week. Or maybe Brian will be here talking about the GMAT. We're wishing you the very best on your MBA journey. Last words, Brian?
Good luck, everybody. Thanks, Angela.
Bye. So are we on question 5? Somebody help me. What question are we on here?
Yeah.
Are we on question 5 or 6?
Okay, anyway.
And it...